So if you don't know who I am, I'm Bud Patel. I have the honor and privilege to be the head of school here at Brentwood College School. Today was really supposed to be about the Old Brentonians, but it's really about my rowing career. Not sure why there's laughter, but so Risa prepared some notes for me about my rowing career. It's on the back here. So that's it. No, unfortunately, my rowing career was not long, and I did not have the privilege of rowing here today as well on these beautiful waters. But no, today is really about honoring three very special Old Brentonians. Firstly, let me welcome all the current parents, the past parents, our emeritus faculty members who are here, and most particularly the Old Brentonians of our school. Welcome back to your school. I want to say some thanks to our local sponsors, our merchants that are here, the staff and students that have organized this, and particularly I want to thank the person really in charge and involved with the vision around this experience for our Old Brentonians. Risa Hinks, who's in charge of our Old Brentonian work here at school. I just want to acknowledge her and thank her for all of her work here too. She had a long speech prepared, but I cut that out. So in partnership with the Old Brentonians Executive, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the second annual presentation of the 2017 Old Brentonian Awards. We are here to honor three individuals who have been selected by their peers to receive one of the following awards. So there's three awards. The first award is the Extraordinary Young Brentonian Award. It honors a young Brentonian for significant career achievements and service. Last year's winner was Daniel Riley. The second award is Outstanding Old Brentonian Award that honors an Old Brentonian for outstanding career achievements and service. Last year's winner was Michelle McLaren. And the Lifetime Achievement Award for the Old Brentonian recognizes an Old Brentonian for a distinguished lifetime career and achievements and contributions to their community through service. Last year's winner was Mr. George Killey. It's a unique way we do the Old Brentonian Awards, so it's really peer-to-peer. Old Brentonians are asked to submit names. Those names then go to the Old Brentonian Executive. Through a secret ballot, they vote on the nominated people, and then those three people then come, and I have the privilege to phone these people and say that they have received this award. So without further ado, I would like to welcome people that are going to introduce Old Brentonians, the awards today, and they are actually Old Brentonians, either involved in the OBE or Old Brentonians that have been at the school as well. So the first person I'd like to introduce is Joey Dahlstrom, Alex House 91, and a current Brentwood parent, to present the 2017 Extraordinary Young Brentonian Award. Joey, there she is.
Thank you. I get the privilege of introducing Sarah Common. Sarah is a support worker, beekeeper, and gardener in the downtown east side of Vancouver. She has a Bachelor of Science degree in agriculture from UBC, specializing in land and food systems and global resources. Sarah is passionate about fostering vibrant and healthy community through empowerment and education, and believes in the profound impact of connecting individuals and community to their land, food, and spirit. Sarah's been working and building relationships in the downtown Eastside community since 2006. In 2012, she co-founded Highs for Humanity Society alongside her mother in response to a gap she saw in opportunities for connection to nature, to community, and to meaningful work for downtown Eastside residents. She has coordinated partnerships between a variety of organizations and businesses, developing programming that builds self-worth and community pride. The heart of her work is in therapeutic mentorship of at-risk communities in the art of beekeeping, creating a positive, enlivened, supportive network to enhance community through apiculture. Please join me in congratulating Sarah Common, class of 2003, as a recipient of the 2017 Extraordinary Young Brentonian Award.
so much. It's such an honor to be here and to receive this award and to come back and see this campus. I only spent a year here, but I think really what Brentwood did was support me in finding my voice and really in finding my place and feeling empowered to be a leader, that's really what I found here that I hadn't found elsewhere, and it's really what I think I've taken forward. And I think it's really at the heart of what we're doing with Hives for Humanity, which is creating spaces that are inclusive, that welcome everyone, where everyone can find a place where they can make meaningful contributions, and that really what that teaches people who often are experiencing life as a lesson that they don't have value. When we can create these spaces that are inclusive, that welcome everyone, we can teach people that they do have value. And when people feel that self-worth, they can feel hope again, and they can move forward wherever that might be to. So thank you, and if you're in Vancouver, come visit one of our gardens, come beekeep with us, come taste our honey, and yeah, thanks again.
I'd like to introduce Mr. David Burton now, Rogers House 1993, and current parent, to present the 2017 Outstanding Old Brentonian Award. Mr. Burton.
Gives me great pleasure to introduce you today, Jaya Murthy. Jaya arrived at Brentwood in 1988 from Edmonton, Alberta, graduated in 1993 as a Rogers House lifer. In 2002, after completing a bachelor's and master's degree in communications at Carleton University and McGill University, respectively, Jaya embarked on the international humanitarian career for which we are recognizing him today. He began his work with a local NGO to promote local language literacy in rural, deprived communities of Ghana. In 2003, working with an international NGO, Jaya prepared the persecution claims of at-risk Liberian and Sierra Leone refugees from various countries of asylum across West Africa for resettlement in the United States. From 2002 to 2006, Jaya worked with the UN High Commissioner for Refugees in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. In his role, he was responsible for repatriating Burundian and Rwandan refugees who had fled their countries in the aftermath of the 1990 civil wars in Burundi and the 1994 Rwandan genocide. Jaya's next role, still with the UN High Commissioner for Refugees in the Democratic Republic of Congo, was implementing the UN-led humanitarian reforms. From 2006 to 2007, Jaya co-led the protection cluster in South Kivu province as they sought to develop measures to better protect vulnerable civilians from predatory armed groups. Jaya then went on to serve as the UNICEF spokesperson in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo from 2007 to 2009. He publicly advocated for international support for Congolese children in acute need during multiple conflict-driven international displacement crises. In 2009, Jaya moved from Africa to Asia, where he was based for 4 years. In Baghdad, Jaya served as UNICEF Iraq's Chief of Communications. He worked with the government of Iraq and other key stakeholders to advocate for focused investment in support of the most marginalized children in Iraq. As well, Jaya mobilized support for an influx of Syrian refugee children into northern Iraq. In late 2011, Jaya served as UNICEF's acting Chief of Communication in Somalia, where he managed UNICEF's communication during the 2011 Somalia famine. Since 2013, Jaya has been serving as the Chief of Communications and Strategic Partnerships for UNICEF in Uganda. He is galvanizing stakeholders from government, the private sector, media, civil society, and faith-based organizations to increase investment in Uganda's most vulnerable children. Jaya is currently executing a communications strategy to mobilize support that will enhance UNICEF's response to the more than 2,000 South Sudanese refugees who are arriving in Uganda every day. In 2012, Jaya was a recipient of the Queen Elizabeth II's Diamond Jubilee Medal. The award honors significant contributions and achievements by Canadians. Please join me in congratulating my good friend, my former Rogers House roommate, class of 1993, as the recipient of the 2017 Outstanding Old Brentonian Award.
Wow, good afternoon, everybody. Dave and I, we roomed together for 3 years from 88 to 91, and I'm pretty sure there was nowhere close to those kind of words that were coming at that time. And we didn't do much studying during our prep to elicit those kind of words either, but here we are. Somehow it all works out. It's really, really good to be back. It's been a long, long time. And it's pretty surreal to be back. Running into John Alpress, we were running into each other right where the old Rogers House used to be. He's like, this is the entrance of Rogers House. Of course, the campus has changed so much in the last 25 years, and incredibly so. So great to see Brentwood so vibrant and full of energy and so progressive. You know, arriving today, I was saying to Dave on the way over here, you know, I don't remember it being so beautiful, you know, so on one hand, I feel like I've never left, but on the other hand, I'm looking at everything with new eyes and a new perspective. I've probably driven that road 50 times, and I don't think I ever noticed it being, you know, so gorgeous. So it's just funny how your perspective changes over time. You know, 25 years passing, but at the same time, you know, sprinting to catch sign-in at the cafeteria and all those things, those memories are as vivid as ever. So when I received the call from Bud at the beginning of April, and then had subsequent discussions with Dave, with Risa, with Ian, I just started to really reflect on this award and really my time at Brentwood. And I probably, you know, developed some insights that I probably hadn't really, you know, thought about with such introspection before. And that's just how much Brentwood really was critical in terms of giving me some formative experiences. And there's a few examples as I was just, you know, recalling the 5 years that I was here. John Alpress was our housemaster for 3 years in Rogers House when we were from grade 8 to grade 10. And I remember in grade 9, it was 1989. I guess, I mean, so much for dating myself. But and I remember us sitting in a house meeting, and all of a sudden the tone of the house meeting just got very, very serious, and you could cut, you know, the air with a knife. And John Alpress was saying to all of us at that time, he was saying, you know, gentlemen, it's not okay to ever strike somebody, and especially to strike a woman. There was an incident that had happened in the community. And so he stressed that point. And here I am, and I still remember that moment. You know, and it's just one experience of how a teacher can influence you. Another time, Frank Purdon, who is our housemaster from grade 11 to grade 12. My grandmother passed away in grade 11. It was my first experience of death in the family. And I was walking around campus just on my own, and he came up to me and he just said, you know, she'll always be with you. You know, she's part of you. She'll always be with you. And that has stayed with me. And then in grade 11 and grade 12, Andrea Pennells. So many conversations, just nurturing conversations. I must say right up front that I was not a stellar student here at Brentwood. And Andrea Pennells, you know, was just so nurturing and caring and encouraging, you know, to find my interest and to find my passion and to go for it. and those are still with me, you know. So really those experiences and many others. We had a good chat with Rob McLean, and you know, you've all contributed to kind of sowing seeds for character and for the future, and you know, to treat people with respect, to cherish positive influences, and to nurture interest and follow your passion. So thank you so much to all of the old teachers who are here. So, you know, considering that, you know, foundational development, really, you know, it's like coming home. I think you said it so well, Bud. I mean, it is like coming home, you know. 5 years is, you know, my entire adolescence, basically, I spent here. So really, I mean, when I learned a little bit more about the award and that it was nominated by fellow alumni and then selected and deliberated on by alumni, I couldn't really understand why, because I've been pretty disconnected and disengaged from the school. But it is just as such an honor. I'm so humbled that my path is thought of in such esteem by you, by fellow Old Brentonians. So really, thank you very much. And I've been thinking, you know, it's you know, what should I do with this honor, you know? And I figure just receiving this award is not enough. So I've been thinking, you know, how can I pay this back? How can I pay back the honor? You know, Brentwood's influence at that stage in my life, those critical lessons that have helped guide me throughout my journey to this day, and this honor, I just feel that it now needs to be paid forward, and I need to pay it forward back to the school. So I've been thinking, you know, well, how are some ways that I can engage and get back to the school? So some of the ways I was thinking is talking to students. Of course, I'm going to stay on Monday and Tuesday and talk to them. But what I hope we can do is to have a structured form of engagement where any students that are interested in international development or humanitarian work or multilateral politics or political economy or whatever it is, I'd be happy to share my experience if that would be of value. We're at an interesting time in the world. You know, the Sustainable Development Goals have just been adopted. We have a very ambitious set of targets that the international community is aiming to achieve by 2030. There are many countries that are affected by conflict around the world. Just where I'm at in Uganda now, we have 2,000 South Sudanese refugees that are arriving every single day. We also have refugees from the Congo and from Burundi. Somalia is in famine, Yemen's in famine, Nigeria is in famine. I mean, there's a lot happening in the world that needs urgent attention. And then I couldn't really help but think, you know, all of these wonderful experiences that I've had, but yet I'm doing this work now in Uganda. I just wanted to share a little bit of the situation of children in Uganda. Most young children, they enroll in grade 1. 94% of 6-year-olds in Uganda enroll in grade 1. But by the time they get to high school, only 25% of them continue on to high school. And there's many reasons why they're dropping out. Poverty. 55% of children under the age of 5 are living in poverty. They're deprived of many basic services. Child marriage. 50% of all women in the country were married under the age of 18. 25% of all teenage girls are either pregnant or have a child. There's HIV/AIDS. 66% of all new infections are contracted by adolescent girls. So if we think about, you know, our cohort here in Brentwood, you know, it's not lost on me the experience that I had and then the experience that millions and millions of children around the world are practically experiencing. Girls and boys are dropping out because they don't have toilets. It's just things that are as simple as that, really. Coming back to how I'd like to engage, if there are students that are interested in this, you know, I'd be happy to serve as an advisor or to mentor. And I think even more than that, if there's opportunity for Brentwood, even in terms of a strategic partnership, with UNICEF or with the UN system. I think it's something that I would love to brainstorm and explore on how we can do that, because Brentwood, with these facilities, with all the resources that are here, with the rich alumni network, there's a lot to offer, I think, in terms of what I've seen over the last 15 years overseas. So in conclusion, really, I just want to say that it's just such a profound honor to be back. It's really a full circle moment for me. I've received so much from the school, and I wouldn't be where I am without the school. There's no question about it. This honor, really, I just want to give it back as best as I possibly can. And I look forward to moving forward together. So thank you.
Thanks, Jai. And just a very quick story about Jai. When I phoned him, I think it was FaceTime we did, he was in Tanzania, I think, at the time. And when I said, there's the awards actually happening 4 weeks from now, so maybe figure out a schedule you can get here. But and he didn't think he could make it. But then I subsequently understood that he took 5 planes, I think, 25 hours of travel, arrived last night to be here. So, Jai, thank you for those wonderful words and for being here as well. So finally, I'm going to introduce Andrew Higginson, Whittle House, class of 2003, to do our final presentation for Mr. Alistair Gillespie.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to be up here today to speak to you about Alistair Gillespie, class of 1941. So following his 4 exceptional years at Brentwood, including winning the Yarrow Shield 3 times, Alistair Gillespie served as a wartime naval officer, as a fighter pilot in the Fleet Air Arm for 4 years, where then after he proceeded to McGill and Oxford on a Rhodes Scholarship, and later to the University of Toronto's Business School. He feels that it was these experiences that helped prepare him for stellar careers in both business and public service. In 1950, Alistair started with the Toronto-based W.J. Gage & Company Limited, moving up rapidly to vice president and eventually a director. Simultaneously, he taught marketing courses at U of T's Business School and started an automatic vending company on the side. 13 years later, he joined the conglomerate Canadian Corporate Management Limited as vice president and served as the president of several of its operating subsidiaries. In 1968, Alistair was elected to the House of Commons in the first Trudeau government. Re-elected in the general elections of 1972 and 1974, he served for 8 years in all 3 of Pierre Trudeau's cabinets. In 1971, as the first Minister of Science and Technology. From 1972 to 1975 as a Minister of Industry, Trade and Commerce. And finally, from 1975 to 79 as the Minister of Energy, Mines and Resources. He returned to business in 1980 as chairman of the brewer Carling O'Keefe Limited, chairman of the National Westminster Bank of Canada, and chairman of Scotia Coal Synfuels Consortium. He also founded the Scotia Synfuels Limited to buy and rehabilitate the former Gulf Oil refinery at Point Tupper, Nova Scotia. As a retirement project, he became co-owner of Creemore Springs Brewery Limited in Creemore, Ontario, and where he held that position for several years. He also served as a director on a number of other commercial, public, and private corporations, as president of the Canadian Opera Company, and as a director of a number of not-for-profit enterprises. In 1999, Alistair Gillespie was appointed an Officer of the Order of Canada. It is with great pleasure and appreciation of service today that I would ask you please join me in congratulating Alistair Gillespie, class of 1941, as the recipient of the 2017 Old Brentonian Lifetime Achievement Award. Unfortunately, Alistair was unable to join us today, but I would ask that his nephew, Mr. Dr. Ian Gillespie, to come up and accept the award on his behalf.
afternoon, and thank you very much. It truly is a privilege to be on this beautiful campus and to accept this award on behalf of my uncle, the Right Honorable Alistair Gillespie. Now, Alistair celebrates his 95th birthday the day after tomorrow. So that's Monday, May 1st. And as we proceed through the journey of life, our functional capacity diminishes, and that's something that we all face. The challenge of traveling from Toronto to accept this special award was more than one could reasonably expect from a gentleman of that age. Dr. Dilip Jeste, who's a distinguished professor of psychiatry and neuroscience at UC San Diego, gave an interesting presentation a few years ago where he talked about successful psychosocial aging. And in that, he had a focus on happiness and wisdom throughout the lifespan. And you might expect, as functional capacity goes down like this, that our happiness might as well. But that isn't what occurs. Instead, it's a U-shaped curve that looks more like this. And that's defined by some fairly extensive research at a number of different sites, so that both happiness and wisdom increase later in life. For those of you that are in the midlife portion, you have some optimism of things to look forward to. So for my uncle, you can well imagine that when Bud Patel called him to advise him that he was the recipient of the 2017 Brentwood Lifetime Achievement Award, he was overwhelmed by the news. Although in typical humble fashion in his letter to Mr. Patel, he said that he's still not sure what he might have done to deserve it. He went on to say, "As much as I would have liked to visit the school this spring, it isn't as easy as it once was." And he expressed appreciation that I could accept his invitation to receive the honor on his behalf. He went on to say, "It's been a few years since I sat in the classroom or stood on the pitch. But without question, Brentwood challenged us in classroom as well as on the field. And it played a formative role in our lives and overall development. Most importantly, it prepared us for what would follow. My brothers and I were inspired by the sports program as it developed character and a healthy competitive spirit. When we weren't having to unite with our teammates against Shawnigan or other opposing schools, we could continue to engage in our sibling sports rivalries, whether in track and field, squash, tennis, or badminton. On receiving this honor, I would like to particularly recognize the many outstanding Brentwood teachers and coaches that helped me, pushed me, inspired me, believed in me, and called me out when necessary to truly do my very best. To them, I owe an equally large lifetime gratitude. Thank you again for the recognition, and my very best wishes to Brentwood. De Manu in Manuum. Thank you.
It's one of the great pleasures I have is to make those phone calls, and I would suggest that all three recipients were quite emotional when I phoned them. And it's interesting when I send an email as head of school, how quickly people get back to me. But Alistair, I'll say in particular, was emotional when I was speaking with him. You know, of how important this is. An Order of Canada recipient, but getting an award from his old high school way back when, you know, meant as much, if not more, to him as well. That speaks to the experience that he had and that we all have at the school as well. So the Old Brentonian network is very wide and vast, and it's incredibly strong, and it's only getting stronger as well. So the 2018 awards are just about going to be around the corner here. So Risa is going to send an email to all Old Brentonians asking for nominations, and we ask you to think about that. That email will come out sometime next week. And think about deserving winners like these three winners here today. At the end, if I could just ask the winners and the presenters just to meet outside for some pictures here, and hope you have a wonderful regatta. And the de mano mano comment is really what this is all about. It's from hand to hand all the time at Brentwood. Thank you.